One of the biggest obstacles that I hear when it comes to selling a home is, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Packing, sorting, storing, selling, it can be overwhelming unless you know someone like my guest today who specializes in helping you not only get rid of the extras you have, but maybe make a little money from it. Welcome Lubey Kelly, owner of Mo Modern, a well-known and very successful estate sale company. You do something that probably a lot of people would love to do themselves, but really don't know how to do it. And you got to figure out how to value people's stuff and how to help them get there. So how do you start? Somebody calls you up.
Well, when somebody calls, I know that they're interested really is just to move everything out of their house one way or another. Hopefully it's to make some money like you said, but a lot of times it's just offering a service to the people to make sure they empty the home so that it can be sold. Yeah. Or it can be staged. I mean, it needs to be
how do you know if you need an estate sale versus just having a garage sale, or what kind of people are you working with?
It's really the difference between one whole house and one room. So if you feel like you just have one room of contents, it's probably not enough to pay a service to do that for you. Then you just have a garage sale, pretty easy. If you're interested in taking only one room and then selling the rest of the house, which is what I usually am called for, then that's when you call an estate sale company.
So people call you and say, I want to sell everything that's in my house. So who would be that person? I mean, obviously my mind goes to someone who wants to start all over with all new furniture, but also seniors who are moving to a different kind of living situation, maybe?
Right, a lot of estate sales have turned more or less into moving sales. So a lot of people are changing their life every 5 to 7 years or so, but other people are changing the life that they lived for 30 to 40 years and they want to move into a retirement community or maybe with a family member, especially during COVID time. So they want to just take a little bit of their house, not everything that they've had for so long, and move out. And then so they just want to leave the stuff behind for someone else, possibly donate, recycle, dispose, whatever you need to do to move on to the house. The money is always in, as far as making money, it's in the sale of the home. The sale of the stuff is more or less usually harder for people.
Oh, that's a question I've got to ask you.
Sure.
So I know when I've been in the homes, they think that this grandfather clock is worth so much money.
Right.
And then when reality comes in, are you dealing with that all the time where they have the perception that there is worth so much more than what it really is?
Sure, and perceived value is really a thing we combat all the time, but we are certified appraisers, and most people in the business try to be, and you try to just educate the people as to your perception of the thing I see every week, let alone 10 times a week, where they've just seen one in their house forever. And it might have been a clock they got as a gift for working for 50 years or what have you, but really it is a clock that everyone in that neighborhood that worked in that community probably got that clock for working there 40 years.
And furniture trends change, and with that changes value, right? So you have to stay up to date on that.
Right. I mean, newer current furniture that people would go to the store and buy now, which some people are selling in their estate or moving sales, that sells very easily and quickly. Out-of-date furniture, which is over 10 years old, typically people aren't as interested in, and it's prevalent. It's everywhere. Everywhere. You know, mid-century modern is really popular now, so if you can find those little modern niches, definitely the people will buy those quickly, absolutely.
What about antiques? Do you work with that?
We do, all the time. We actually work with everything, whether it's jewelry or antiques or current furniture or modern or just useful household items. But antiques are a little harder to sell. There's less people interested in them. It's all about supply and demand.
Yeah.
So if people are not building dining rooms into their homes anymore, dining sets are not exactly something people are looking for. So there's not as much of a demand, and there's a humongous supply. Huge.
Right. So when somebody calls you, what's the next step? What happens? You go to their house and you look at what they've got?
Right, I just go to kind of evaluate what they have and how long they've lived there, what items are there for sale, what are specialty items over just household useful items, and try to inform them what I think that their house would bring in at an estate sale, a gross sale. And I explain my services, which is I make a commission based on those items, and then what the process would be, which is we do a setup during the week, we do a sale on Saturday and Sunday to the public, and then after that we usually remove all the items that were unsold and we donate them or dispose of them however they need to be done.
What if Andrea hasn't been there yet and it's completely cluttered because they haven't heard her story? And do you deal with that?
Oh, I love cluttered houses. It's much more interesting. It's really about variety.
Well,
I love clutter.
Because he can sell it.
Right. Most estate sales are full of, you want a variety and you want volume. So if you just have 10 items, you won't really get very many people to the sale. You won't be able to make very many sales.
Yeah.
You know, it
Do you
just
have any
depends.
of your items online? So if somebody can't go over the weekend, do you post anything online?
Right, well, we advertise all of our estate sales online, so you have to
Okay.
come to the sale to make it fair to the mass public that comes to these sales, because we get, 1,000 people walk through a house in a weekend. It's a lot. A lot of potential buyers, of course, of homes too. But the other thing that we've done during COVID is we do a lot of online estate sales where no one comes to the house. I just set up the house and sell items individually online for the client.
So that became popular during COVID. Do you see that trend continuing with online sales?
I do. If I do have 500 to 1,000 people walk through the house and in a estate sale that's online, I only have 50 buyers, but they bring in the same amount of money. It's totally bizarre to me, and it's a new trend for sure. But my point is I see those people continuing to buy and continuing to evolve, whereas the people coming to the public estate sale are a completely different group of people. I don't see them mixing and matching. It's very strange, but new.
And so what happens to the stuff that doesn't sell in the estate sale?
Yeah, great question.
Most of that stuff is donated. We have a clean out crew that handles that. We some items are resold in these clean out crews have antique mall booths or whatever, that kind of thing. But for the most part, it's donated and disposed of, thrown away, recycled if we can. I mean, the entire estate sale process is a recycling process because you're trying to move things that are useful to people that have use for them. But some of those people don't walk in the door, and you have to eventually get rid of a dining set to somewhere.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing to get rid of?
China cabinet.
China
Okay,
cabinet.
there you go.
Okay,
We're going to
that's
wrap
it.
with that. Actually,
Okay,
that's a
good.
good one. Don't buy China cabinets,
Yeah,
right?
don't buy China.
Right.
Okay. Hopefully you've learned some great tips about how to get rid of all that stuff and maybe make a little cash along the way. Thanks for joining us today, and keep coming back. I'm Sarah Bernard with Real Life.